Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Great to be here.
Today, we're tackling a really interesting project. We're
Mm-hmm.
focusing on a classic, the vintage Tamiya Frog.
Ah, the frog.
Iconic.
And specifically, how to really optimize its, well, unique rear suspension. We're looking at using some pretty advanced tech, the Tamiya hashtag 54028 buggy aeration dampers.
Right.
And this isn't just about, bolting on shiny new parts. It's about understanding how they work together to get hopefully some surprising performance, but still respecting that vintage feel.
Exactly. This is definitely not a simple part swap. We're really going deep into the engineering principles. The goal is to show you how to get truly next-level performance from that chassis. It's all about bridging that gap, to the vintage charm and what modern RC tech can do.
Okay, let's start with the basics then. The Frog's original design, you've got that ORV chassis, the trailing arm rear end. What does that actually mean for how it drives? Well, there are a few key things about that original setup. First, you've got plastic on metal pivots back there, and that tends to create what we call stiction.
Stiction, like sticky friction.
Basically, yeah. It just prevents really smooth free movement initially. It takes a bit more force to get it going.
Okay.
Then there's the way the damper connects through that crank mechanism. It creates leverage ratio, so the spring's force isn't applied directly. It's kind of multiplied or changed through the suspension travel.
Huh. And fixed camber, too, right? Not like modern cars.
Exactly. No adjustment there. So all these things together, they lead to the Frog's, let's say, well-known characteristics.
Like the rear end squatting down hard under acceleration.
That's one. And also that tendency to be a bit bouncy after landing a jump. It doesn't always settle quickly.
Gotcha. So, knowing those challenges, enter these modern Tamiya hashtag 54028 aeration dampers. How are these fundamentally changing things? They're not just like bitter CVA shocks. I know the part number hashtag 50519 for the CVAs is common.
No, they're a completely different beast compared to standard CVAs, like the hashtag 50599. Your typical CVA works really hard to get all the air out. Separate the oil and air completely for smooth, linear damping.
Okay, standard shock stuff.
Right, but aeration dampers, they intentionally mix air and oil.
Intentionally, why?
To create an emulsion, a mix of tiny air bubbles within the oil, and that emulsion is compressible.
Compressible oil. Okay, that's different.
And that compressibility gives you a naturally progressive damping curve.
Progressive meaning?
Meaning it's relatively soft on small bumps, really plush, but when you get a big hit like a landing, it firms up significantly.
Ah, so resists bottoming out better.
Exactly. And that progressive nature directly counters those frog issues, the squat, the bounciness. It lets the suspension react appropriately to different hits.
So it's soft when you want it, firm when you need it.
Precisely. But they can be a bit fiddly to build because you need that perfect air oil mix. Experienced builders even listen for a tiny squeak sound.
A squeak?
Yeah, it tells them the emulsion has formed correctly inside. You're going from trying to eliminate air to needing just the right amount.
Fascinating. So, okay, that's a totally different way they work. What does that mean for tuning? Like picking shock oil. We've talked about using that orange hashtag 300 oil before. Is that still the way to go?
See a set, centistokes, the thickness measure.
Well, with these hashtag 54028s, the oil viscosity, its thickness, makes a huge difference, much more than the simpler dampers. Their internal friction is incredibly low. So changing from, say, hashtag 200 red to hashtag 300 orange or up to hashtag 400 yellow, you really feel each step.
More sensitive to oil changes then.
Definitely. But, and this is the big one, there's a major curveball.
Uh-oh, what is it?
Those vintage CRP springs or any other vintage springs you might have for the Frog,
Yeah.
they just won't fit. The diameter of the hashtag 548 damper bodies is larger modern standard.
Oh, so they physically don't go on.
Nope. It's a non-negotiable fitment problem. Your old springs are out. Wow. Okay. So if the vintage springs are a no-go, what do you use? And where does that leave us with the oil? Is that hashtag 300 orange still the place to start?
Right, so spring-wise, you need to use springs designed for this modern TRF damper size. The ones that come in the box with the hashtag 54028 set are your starting point, or you can get specific TRF tuning spring sets later.
Okay, use the kit springs first?
Yes, and for the oil, no, Tamiya hashtag 300 orange is not the optimal starting point anymore.
No, we're not.
Because these aeration dampers are naturally softer feeling initially, especially with that low friction. The hashtag 300 oil just feels a bit too thin, not enough control right off the bat.
So you need something thicker to compensate.
Exactly. Our definitive recommendation, based on testing, is to start with Tamiya hashtag 400 yellow silicone damper oil.
Hashtag 400 yellow.
Yeah, use that with the stock springs included in the hashtag 54028 damper kit. That gives you about a 33% jump in viscosity over the hashtag 300. It provides a much better, more controlled baseline to tune from.
That makes a lot of sense. You establish control first. So with that baseline, hashtag 400 oil, kit springs, does that mean spring changes become the main tuning tool now?
That's precisely the approach. Get the baseline damping right with the hashtag 400 oil. Then use different rate springs, maybe from those TRF sets, like hashtag 53974 or hashtag 53975, to make your primary handling adjustments.
And the oil is more for fine-tuning the feel after that.
Exactly. It's a more methodical way to diagnose what the chassis needs. Change one thing at a time, starting with springs once that hashtag 400 baseline feels good.
Right.
And just thinking ahead, once you get this rear end working so much better, you're almost certainly going to find the stock front suspension becomes the weak link.
Makes sense. Fix one end, highlight issues at the other.
You'll likely notice more understeer. The front won't keep up. So upgrading the front, maybe with something like the Tamiya CVA mini shock set, the hashtag 5059 you mentioned earlier.
That becomes the logical next step to balance everything out.
For sure, to really get the whole chassis working together.
So putting this all together, optimizing your vintage Frog with these aeration dampers, it's really more than just swapping parts. It sounds like it forces an evolution in how you approach tuning it.
It really does. You move from just trying to manage the old design's quirks to actually leveraging modern tech with those characteristics. It absolutely demands precision, especially building the shocks, and understanding that compatibility is key.
Like the springs.
Like the springs. And then having that systematic approach to making adjustments. Start with the oil baseline, then springs, then fine-tune. But if you follow that path, you really can bridge that gap. You keep the soul of the vintage Frog, but give it a serious performance boost with modern tech.
A fantastic deep dive. So thinking about upgrading older tech, not just RC cars, what aspect do you find most interesting or challenging? Is it finding parts that fit, figuring out the new tuning, or just striking that balance between preserving the old and adding the new? Something to think about.